So when we talk about transformation, today we understand that transformation is imperative. It's something that every organization feels the need for and every organization is investing in. But we don't often think through the anatomy or the structure of transformation. Very often transformation in organizations looks like this. It looks like a series of scattered experiments. Typically what happens is there's an innovation team which is strategically outside the central organization. It's given its own license to do things, to experiment, and it runs a lot of experiments trying to find the next big bet. Very often what emerges out of it is that various point solutions get created in the overall business model. If there are certain aspects of the business today that could leverage a certain technology, that technology gets implemented in that particular aspect of the business. What a lot of these transformation stories miss is that real transformation happens through a complete re-architecture of the system. You have to completely rewire the system, completely change the way stakeholders are involved, where value is created, where value is captured. All of those things completely change. And that's what I want to talk about over the next few minutes today. To think about transformation, I want to take an example of another technology, a non-digital technology that has had a profound impact and has shaped the world as we see it today. And that is the container. Containerization has changed the way trade works in this world. Containerization is the single innovation that has fundamentally globalized the whole world. And if you look at the transformation that happened because of containerization, it worked its way through in three phases. In the first phase, containerization standardized the movement of goods around the world. In the past, if you had to move things from one place to the other, the way you would move a bale of cotton would be very different from the way you would move, say, a metal. But with containerization, all of that changed. Containers created a standardized model by which goods could be transported around the world. As a result of this, the first step of transformation that came in was in the form of improved efficiencies. The first layer of value that was created was just more of the same, better of the same. So ports started behaving much more efficiently. The turnaround time for container ships at ports became much shorter. Ships got utilized much better, logistics systems got utilized much better. So the first range of impact was all about efficiency. Once that came in, usually this first step is extremely important because without this initial business case, a new system does not get implemented. And this initial business case, because there was immediate impact on the turnaround time and on the utilization capacity, this was implemented and containerization started changing the way the world worked. And that led to the second phase of change, which was about seeing economies and seeing a fundamental evolution, a fundamental redesign of various components of the system. So ships got redesigned because now that they were containers, ships were designed to optimize for storage of containers. Logistics systems got redesigned, the processes that moved these containers, the kinds of machines that were there at various ports that lifted and moved these containers, all of those things got redesigned. So the entire logistics operations got redesigned. And finally, that's what led to the real change that we saw all around the world. For the first time, we saw the architecture of global supply chains which worked much more efficiently very often than local supply chains, where you could leverage economies of scale across the globe because the cost of moving things was that much smaller and the efficiency of moving things was that much higher. And all of this happened because of something very simple and fundamental about the container. The container standardized the movement of goods. When you standardize something, you enable coordination of multiple participants around this new standard. Without standardization, it becomes very difficult for coordination to happen. And because there is no coordination, you start seeing inefficiencies because you start seeing the creation of silos that do not talk to each other. Global supply chains were created because containers created the standards for logistics systems, for shipping systems, for all of these things to talk to each other and goods to be delivered end to end from the source to the destination. That's what led to the eventual transformation of global supply chains, towards these global entities. And so what we see with that example is that transformation takes place in these three steps. You need the efficiency part of it, because that is what helps you change the building blocks of the system. People would not have moved to containers if there was not an immediate business case over there. But once you've done that, and once you start seeing those efficiencies, that the change in efficiencies, the next set of value gets created when you start looking for entirely new business models and entirely new designs that exploit these new efficiencies. So the assumptions have changed, and now you start redesigning systems around those assumptions. And once you've done that, when this becomes the standard for your industry, that is when you can start using this as a coordination mechanism to start benefiting from externalities. And that's what we saw with the container revolution.